We have with us Father Michael Orsi. I don't really think he needs much of an introduction. But come on up. He's actually going to speak with us right now. He's going to provide us a call to action. So, Father, come on.
It's nice to have a friend in a high place. And he's going higher. I'm saddened that I have to be here today because abortion is still taking place in our country. We're hitting nearly 60 million now since Roe v. Wade. But I'm also delighted that we still have the freedom of speech to have a program like this. I say still, because depending on the outcome of the election, we may not be able to do this again. Let me be very clear. There is a lot riding on who is elected in November. Let me tell you, first of all, that pastors, I'm glad the pastors are here today. Many of them are my friends. But there are many pastors who are not here. The churches have to begin to speak out fearlessly. For too long, pastors and churches have been bullied into believing that they can say nothing political from the pulpit. Let me remind you, the Bible is a political document. The prophets, including John the Baptist and Jesus, lost their lives because they spoke the truth to power. Let me also remind you that if the pastors do not speak out now, they may not be able to in the future. Many fear that they're going to lose their 501(c)(3) status. That means tax-exempt status. Let me clarify something for you. 501(c)(3) was introduced in 1954 by Lyndon Johnson. It was a piece of spite work against nonprofits who opposed him in his election to the Senate in Texas. It said nothing about churches, but it has been interpreted since that time to mean churches are covered by these nonprofit statuses. No church, up to the present, has been prosecuted. I wish some church would be. I'd like to see this go to the Supreme Court. Speaking of the Supreme Court, unless the right choice is made in November, we may not have a court that is fair and balanced in its interpretation of the Constitution. The Constitution is quickly being destroyed. Pastors are afraid in church to speak the truth. I want you to think of some great people in the past who did speak the truth. First of all, let me speak to you about St. Thomas More. He spoke the truth to power when the King of England decided he wanted to divorce his wife. Thomas lost his head. Then let me talk to you about Dietrich Bonhoeffer, great Protestant pastor. Too many of the pastors, practically all, in Germany refused to speak against National Socialism. And look at the result. Millions of Jews, pastors, priests, homosexuals, gypsies, all lost their lives because everyone was afraid. What are you afraid of, a couple of bucks? Your tax-exempt status, what's that going to do to you? Your churches may be closed anyway because if a certain party gets elected. This certain party said, if the churches do not agree with our interpretation of women's reproductive rights, they'll just have to change their doctrine. Could you imagine that? What about religious freedom? The First Amendment to the Constitution is being threatened quietly. As a matter of fact, interviewing some college students, of course, many of our colleges, they are politically correct. And they have students convinced that the First Amendment can even be compromised for the sake of political correctness. Of course, they want their safe space, which is the whole country. Mark that. Mark that. What about religious freedom? Can the federal government tell people, tell churches that they must pay for abortions, for contraceptives, for abortifacients? Well, they certainly are trying to. And don't be fooled, the Supreme Court did not settle that issue. It is with the appeals courts at the moment. And if a certain party gets elected, I can assure you what kind of judges are going to be on those appeals courts. This is a precarious moment in our history. I'm not going to vote for a candidate who decides that we can redefine the meaning of marriage. For aeons, since the time of the caveman, marriage has always been between a man and a woman. It is the basic building block of society, the family. But our opponents believe once they destroy the family, once they destroy the churches, they can recreate society in their own image and their own likeness. That, my friends, is not just political, that is diabolical. Get it straight, for crying out loud. The devil is in this. I was speaking to some of the pastors, some of these good men here who I sincerely feel a kinship with, and they tell me that even in their churches, which are for the most part based on the scriptures, people get very touchy if they touch on political subjects. Somehow they have come to buy the story that you cannot be political in church. Let me tell you right now, oh, yes, you can. And, oh, yes, you better be, because you might not have a church to go to if you don't vote the right way in November. Please encourage your pastors. Tell your friends what I have said today. And remember, we are in a battle for the soul of America. God has given you his grace, and he will bring us to a successful conclusion of the battle that is before us. God love you.